Hello everybody, what's going on? Emo Tempest here, and we are in spoiler season for the next set, Hidden Trials. This is the box art. We got a lot of cards that have been popping up over the last week and a half, I think. Yeah, it's just really good stuff. I hate how long this set overall is taking. Usually we have either a starter or some kind of product to last us between sets here. But the gap has been really huge, right? Like, I think it was 3.5 months or almost 4 months between Hidden Hope and this one coming out in August. So we still actually have a month and a half of of waiting to suffer. But yeah, so let's talk about the set. There's gonna be Hidden Hope's Limit Break mechanic this March, which is what we got, and then more stuff. They're gonna be emphasizing more Limit Break. In this one, expected release date is August 2nd. Have 130 cards, 162 premium foils, 30 full art cards, 1 special card, 1 crystal card. These are some of the ones that are exciting. These will elevate the Limit Break mechanic. New heights thanks to custom themed cards that can turn the tide of battle, revolutionizing the deck building experience for players. We're going to talk about the ones that have come out. So I know we've seen this Limit Break Kuja, we've seen this Lightning, this Limit Break, I guess Vincent or Dirge of Cerberus one, is I believe what's getting spoiled next week. I'm not sure, but if I had to guess from this week's card of the week teaser, I guess it might be something like this. I'm gonna assume it's this one, being as they've already shown these off. The legacy cards are Lightning, which I find interesting. This one didn't see. It's always like that, right? There's always one that never saw too much play. There's always one that saw a lot of play, and then there's one that's just like really old or something. So in this case, this one never saw too much, I guess. The next one really is actually an exciting one, I know, for some people. This one saw a lot of play for sure, and this Refia now is the hot new-ish. So assuming she doesn't get banned, where this one's gonna be, these two are gonna be pretty highly sought after. Things we should also talk about: some of the new art that we're getting. I know not everyone remembers the artist, but that's okay. But things we can know: there's going to be a new Final Fantasy VI card, 13-2, a remake, something from 9, which I'm actually really excited about. This could be anything. In these little teasers that we've got here from this set, we have the Typo, which is right here by Matsuda. We have a Record Keeper. We just got these by Fumio, which is right under Matsuda's. And then this one was Ishihata. So I hope I'm pronouncing some of these right. But we have, is that one? Oh, never mind. That's the Bahamut. Oh, so that's a shame. I was hoping it was a character, actually. And then we have more 14. This isn't art, but, this is another way for you guys to tell what kind of cards we're getting. We have a new Advanced Tactics, FFTA2, another Dirge of Cerberus. We have some 7 remake, 4, and 11, 13, and more Typo. We have another Typo coming out, which is cool. So yeah, a lot of interesting cards to get into. And then, we talked about that. Oh yeah, this Lightning card is going to be the full art card, signed card, which it says it down here. 1 special Lightning card, 2337R, which is, they don't have the numbers here. But yeah, with that being said, let's get going and get started on these spoilers, you guys. So let's start going through all these spoilers because we have quite a few. Actually, let's get through some of the, let's start off with some of the exciting stuff, right? So we have Chaos, Kuja, and last week's card of the week, Hope. Chaos. When he enters the field, you may remove 5 job Chaos in your break zone and or monsters in your break zone from the game. When you do so, your opponent selects a forward they control, put it in the break zone. Your opponent discards 2 cards. And then Flare S, put the top 10 cards of your deck into the break zone. Chaos deals your opponent 1 point of damage. That's kind of interesting. It has a lot of interesting effects. To say the least, but I think the fact that it's Chaos and monsters makes it definitely more playable. If we were limited to the job Chaos stuff, there's a few other copies of Chaos, right? Plus every copy of Tiamat, Merilith, Lich, and Kraken that we have so far, which I believe there's like 4 sets of them. Now, I hope we don't get more, like another set of them this set, but as long as some of them are playable, I think the Chaos deck might eventually grow into something. I don't know if this card is going to be the one to do it for us, but the effect is pretty decent, I think. So it's just an Atomos for your opponent, right? They send a forward they control, and then make them discard. So it's kind of like a cheaper Arc Chaos when you think about it, but of course you have to remove 5 things from the break zone. So effectively, the way the effect triggers, obviously, since it's a you may, it doesn't. You don't have to remove anything until resolution, I believe. So you can enter, trigger, then flare first, if you have it, and then you can deal a point of damage, mill the cards, and then do the thing. So there is some potential there. Again, it might take a lot, and I'm not sure if it's worth it just yet. But it's a solid. This is the Dark Legendary for the set, so. Yeah, take that as you will. Next is Kuja, Limit Break. He's a Limit Break 2, solid 5/8, 5-drop AK. When Kuja is chosen by your opponent's summon or ability, choose a forward, freeze it. Okay, and then dull active Kuja, choose a forward, dull it. Okay, so he kind of has that effect from his first one of his older iterations whenever he's targeted, or I think it was a Sephiroth that said that, I'm not sure, but either way it's not bad. You definitely freeze things as you go, and then just being able to bring them out and dull something isn't too bad either. There's a lot of triggers you can think about, you know, with an Alcid being one of them, right? So if Alcid's out, you bring this guy, freeze something, free something with the Alcid, then Alcid would attack, dull something, and then if he's targeted, I guess you could free something. I don't know, but either way, it's not bad. It's a solid Limit Break card, I think, and it's not overpowering, right? I think we need more cards like this, and I suspect this set is gonna push that Limit Break boundary a little bit more. I'm just overall excited to see how more creative the Limit Break decks get, right? Right now, we're really limited to the ones we have. It's pretty much Leo, Zach, Matt, Leela, and Cloud, right? The others are almost non-existent. And so, you know, this is, well, obviously Surges and Victoria are, but realistically, we have a small move pool, a small Limit Break pool, and that's only going to increase as we go, right? I suspect we will have 2 for each color this time around. So this Kuja's the first ice one. And I believe we have the second ice one a little bit later. Hope. When you enter the field, you may pay X. When you do so, search for a category of cost X and play it on the field. Let's talk about the X again, because I feel like it hasn't... Actually, I'll probably save that for another video. But you can overpay by 1 is the short answer I was going to get over to that. And play it on the field. So it is a 13 character forward backup monster, which is exciting. I know there's a lot of options there. And then you can tap, remove Hope from the game at the beginning of your next main phase, play Hope onto the field. You can only use this ability during your turn. Yeah, so it's definitely a quick and fast way to start pulling things out of the deck. It almost has that Bart's effect. It almost has like a pseudo time mage. It's definitely, I guess, depends how you look at it. It might be a little easier to do because you don't need another copy of Hope. You just need to be able to play him and generate the CP. I don't think he's bad at any junction in the game, so he's pretty strong. If he goes unanswered, you can definitely just start playing all your backups early on and set up. So again, if he's not answered, he could just, you know, bring out his problem solvers too, right? Like, I think it's Typhon is one of them. I'd obviously have to go through all the 13 cards to see what actually is, you know, generic removal or generic, you know, dull and freezes and things of that nature to kind of get your opponent to slow down if you're playing against an aggressive deck. Now, the issue is obviously Amat always, you would have to pay on the second auto, right? When he enters, you may pay, trigger, and then after you pay when you do search. So obviously hit him on the second one. But yeah, Hope is a very strong card. it's dangerous. Now, I did get the spoiler last season for a Wind Hope, so I kind of wish it was a different color now, because that and this would have been really good. But I guess overall they're both just solid title cards as well. Ishtola, Sign of the Seventh Dawn. Another 3-drop Ishtola. When she enters the field, choose up to the same number of forwards your opponent controls as drop Signs of the Seventh Dawn you control and dull them. Very mid title card. I obviously don't see this replacing any of the current Ishtolas. Not even for extra S abilities. I guess maybe if you wanted to just keep it lightning and not try to have to bring out a fire one. But even then, I still think the odds of bringing out the other one is better, just to open up your limit break pool in general. I don't have much to say about this one. If it was dull and freeze, kind of like the like I think it was a Sarah back. It was a Sarah L a couple sets back actually. Then maybe I would understand it, but it is a common, so I can't imagine it getting that much more, that much stronger. Also, sorry if some of these are blurries. I'm getting a lot of, this was the source that I found everywhere online. So, Black Widow. If you control 2 or more monsters, Black Widow also becomes a forward with 8,000 power. When Black Widow attacks, you may put 1 monster you control into the break zone. When you do so, choose a forward, deal it 9,000 damage. Interesting. It's a 2-cost, so a nice realm target along with whatever the 1-drop is, making him live right away. So it is a good way to, it is a good realm option in general to kind of, you know, start building up those defenses, and as opposed to, you know, wasting your worm or your echidna and stuff like that. I like the fact that it might actually work in conjunction with that chaos we just saw earlier, right? Because as you attack, you can put other things into the break zone and then start having fodder for that chaos. You know, I'm trying to think what else. You could also start recurring those monsters with, what is it, Blue Mage, Gao, and things like that. It's not bad. I think it's just, it has a lot of potential. I wonder if, I guess it really, I guess it depends, right? If it attacks, I would have to wait on a ruling, right? If it attacks, sends the monster, no longer becomes a forward, does the attack still go through and can it be blocked? That's the real question. I need some help on that one. I'm going to ask some people later. Garland, backup, Knight. When Garland enters the field, choose a forward your opponent controls. You gain control of it until the end of the turn. That's pretty good for a 2-drop. It's pretty much a backup Merilith. That's interesting. We're getting a lot more take control cards slowly. You know, I know it doesn't seem the same, but between the Zidane, Beldat, things that we're stealing, as well as Chaos, it's just, I think this might be a nice one-of in a fire deck. I'm starting to enjoy the other, it's not Garland, it's Gabranth. I think it's the Fire Gabranth 2-drop. It just says someone can't be broken this turn. But this is a different kind of card. You know, simple plays would be this and the Lady Lilith. If you want to play Fire Lightning, that is always an option too. I'm sure this might find use. There's no type. I'm sorry. There's no cost or type requirements or like dull freeze or active of anything kind. So just being able to snatch something is good. I just don't know. I just don't know how much of this we would need, right? Now for the fancy cards, we have the pre-release box topper and the chase card of the set. So Lunafreya Hidden Trials pre-release. This one was exciting, I think. When Lunafreya enters the field, reveal the top 5 cards of your deck, add 1 card among them to your hand, and return the other cards to the bottom of your deck in any order. If the card added to your hand has an EX Burst, you may trigger its EX Burst effect. This effect is put on the stack. Yeah, solid card. It's definitely gonna help the water limit break area. We're just gonna take out Lady Lilith right here and slap 2 of these on in there. But overall, I think it's a really good card. The fact that it just triggers an EX Burst effect. There's a few questions I have, obviously, and I'm sure we'll get official rulings on them later. But does this trigger Lena? Does this trigger, you know, Felthanos things of that nature? You know, if it's anything like the Axstar Lena, then it should, but, you know, obviously they make up their own rules at the end of the day. So, Yeah, but it's a really good card. Just a big scry. Imagine hitting a Thornton. Just get whatever you want. Get a Tyro, whatever you want. You know, it's dangerous. Obviously, it's 6/7 is expensive, but you're getting a lot of value back, right? Imagine. Obviously, the value is there because you would have to hit an EX burst, right? Other than that, it is just a four drop 7K. Doesn't do much else, other than just get you to the card you need, right? But this is going to be good for a lot of decks. You know, the limit break color pool is already pretty abused, right, in multicolor decks, and this just answers all of that a little bit more. Now the box topper, Venat. When Venat enters the field, gain 2 crystals. When Venat is put from the field into the break zone, you may pay a crystal. When you do so, choose a forward, remove it from the game. And then for 2 crystals, you can tap, search for 1 card, and add it to your hand. It's a pretty solid turn 1 play, if you ask me. This is like your worst case scenario, obviously, but let's say you're playing this card and you just want to, and you don't draw anything else, you can play Venat and hope it doesn't get answered. Worst case scenario, you're just generating 2 crystals and then being able to play a lot of your crystal options later. But for now, it's just being able to search a card is solid, right? It's definitely gonna. I don't know if it's strong enough, obviously, to compete with the current light and dark cards, right? Because I know we're seeing less Shinryu aside from monocolor decks, right? Because even some monocolor decks are still doing the Wool 7 thing, but we can't play. It's hard to play both, right? With the exception of Joe's mono water list, but you have Wool 7 in general, you have Chaos Arc in general, so it's eating up a lot of those effects. Now, if I'm being honest, this might just be a water card. Water already generates a lot of crystals, and being able to do something like this might be great. So that's where I am right now with the card. Let me know where you guys think it belongs. Lightning. That signature is adorable. This is going to be a very expensive card. I assume it'll sit somewhere in the 800 range with the Yuffie's. At the beginning of the attack phase, during each of your turns, choose 1 forward opponent controls. If you control 2 or more category 13 forwards, dull it. So this is an ice backup. We saw this earlier in the video when it was, just the sample page. Talks about the set and all that. I think it's a beautiful card, but I don't know if I like it enough to want to play it, right? The reason is we have so many amazing lightning cards, right? And if I'm looking at stuff like Hope, and pretty much everything we got from that 13 starter deck, I don't know if I'm playing this one, right? Like, I'd rather just play the light one, or I'd rather even play the backup that gives the Hope haste and lets me do stuff. I don't know. There's definitely some possibilities. I'm not saying it's terrible. It's just you have what's his name? There's a monster that does this effect easier, right? And it's a 2-drop lightning card. I mean, Element, obviously not a character, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's as playable, but maybe eventually it'll be the point where we need. Other than that, it is very good in title as well. All right, now we're on to these translated ones. Now, I had them pulled up here, but obviously my source just took a dump. So let's try to pull them up again. Here we go. No, don't search, just go back. Oh boy. Alright, sorry about that, guys. Alright, so we have Jesse and Jack. I believe this is the other, this is the other original art that we talked about. So these are all original art, so these might all potentially be full arts. I know sometimes these don't always hit, but we'll see. They did say 30 full arts, right? So maybe there's more. So, all right. So we have Jesse as an R as a backup. Choose 1 category 7 forward you control. It gets 1,000 power that you can dole it, and then or you can dole this card and choose a card named Cloud you control. It gets 2,000 power until the end of the turn. Obviously, you can't do both effects at the same time. So, I mean, you either pump Cloud 2 or pump something 1. Jack. When Jack enters the field, send the top 3 cards of your deck to the break zone. He's a 2-drop 7K for that effect. I'm not saying it's better than Axis, but it's definitely, I think we're embracing these mill cards a lot more than I thought we would, especially with what FF8 brought last set. Now, there's definitely more to be desired from the card, but I'm interested to see what else Typo can do with something like this. Right now, I don't see much, but again, we are happy for milling cards. If anything, the Chaos proved it, FF8 proved it. I'm sure we will continue to enjoy self-milling ourselves for a little bit longer. These are the ones that I like the most. So we have Fermelda. This is the legendary, actually, and Kate Sith, the ice legendary as well. So at the start of your attack phase, if you have 4 more elements among characters you control, choose one of the following. Choose a forward that loses the power for each element among characters you control until the end of your turn, and or play 1 forward of cost 4 or less from your hand to the field. Those are absurd effects. If you've been following along, we like cards like this a lot. It's like the Lena, it's like Chaos. You know, a Toto answers all of this for your board, or for the board. But overall, in general, having multiple cards is going to be interesting. The fact that it can just play Warrior of Light for free is dumb. I think this card is going to be problematic, but it's also very, very good. I'm thinking multicolored decks will be abusing this a lot, and if this one also gets a full art, then it's going to be expensive. So, and then the second effect is, the first part of the effect is also just good as well, right? Let's say you don't actually need to play anything. Here's some free removal at the start of the battle phase. Yeah, that Fermelda is pretty good. And then Kate Sith, Limit Break 3. He's brave. When Kate Sith enters the field, if you control 5 or more ice backups, freeze all backups your opponent controls, and your opponent discards 1 card from their hand to the break zone. That's pretty good. Yeah, it's just freeze. I hope these translations are right. Obviously, you know, if they're not, down the road, this is what I got. I'm sure you guys have read them too if you've been keeping up, but it's another really good limit break, actually. I think it's cool that Ice has something like this now. Between this and the Kuja, Mono Ice might have more options, you know, with Victoria, Surgis, and, you know, Ice in general is going to have decent options. Unfortunately, this one is limited to being Mono Ice. Kind of, I don't want to say like Titus, because Titus definitely just didn't care. He really proved that. But yeah, Kate Sith's pretty good. I like him very much. Now, obviously, we're not going to be able to play the backup, because then we can never cast this, which is weird, right? Because we like that backup for certain situations. But that's something we're going to have to live with if we want to play this card. And then the last one is going to be, well, not the last one, the last one of these. We have Bahamut. Choose a forward of power 9,000 or less, and up to 1 forward in your opponent's break zone. Remove them from the game. 5 for this isn't too bad. I don't think it's exciting enough though. If it was a 4-drop, if it was 4 CP, maybe. But I think 5 for just 2 removals is complicated, right? It's a good way to get rid of Refias, if I'm being honest. Just say adios to them, right? Things of that nature. Problematic cards that are just, you know, you don't want to see play around. A lot of these times, these decks, while they're setting up, they will have one in on field and in break zone, and usually one in their hand, right? So if this is probably really good to just swipe 2 of them out of the game. Again, it is 5 CP. There are ways to make this Bahamut cheaper, I think. But the real question is it worth it, right? Right now, I'm not thinking it is, but obviously the meta will decide that for us when we need answers to a lot of different situations. You know, obviously every meta comes out, we end up bringing back some cards that we didn't know we needed, just to answer certain things. But all right, now we have the Null. Yeah, he's also 13. Warp, he's an H. Haste first strike. At the start of your attack phase, for each category 13 character you control, you may remove 1 warp counter from Null. This ability will only trigger while Null is removed from the game and has warp counters on it. So, interestingly enough, you can warp him, and then just he comes out the same turn. So he's actually never 5. He should never be 5, because it does say, as long as the translation is correct and it is 13 characters. This guy is always going to cost 1. He's coming out during the battle phase, and he's going to come in swinging. So that's a dangerous card. Haste first strike 9k for 1. Obviously, you know, with the rules of warp, you can cancel it. You can, you know, there are cards to answer things that enter the field by other means. But either way, that's quite annoying. I suspect this this 13 deck might also be aggro. But like we said last set when we saw the Hope, I guess the Wind 13 deck is slowly developing on its own. But yeah, I think that's a very good card. We'll definitely see play. And then now I think we're down to the last ones, which is this week's card of the week. Young Rahal and Young Xend is a hero and an L combo. So we have both of the water L now, water legendaries now. Young Rahal is also card named Rahal in all situations. I suspect maybe we'll get another, like a older Rahal. When Young Rahal enters, gain 2 crystals. When Young Rahal enters the field or attacks, all the water forwards you control gain 2,000 power until the end of the turn. And then Young Xend is also card Xend in all situations. For 1 crystal, gains cannot be chosen by your opponent's abilities, and its power becomes 9,000. So kind of like the 2-drop Fire Ramza, but better. And then for water crystal, search for a water forward of 3 or of cost 3 and play it onto the field. You can only use this ability once per turn, but not only on your turn. So, oh, that's exciting. So off the bat, they're very low power, very I think we like Xend a little bit better, but we need the Rahal or even the Venat to generate these crystals. Water, again, is known for generating crystals very comfortably. Probably does it the most efficiently, I think, out of all the colors, out of all the elements at the moment. So I don't see an issue with him being able to do any of these things. Now, the legendary here isn't gonna be as good until you see that stuff, until you see those crystals. And then after that, we have to see what we're starting to bring in, right? What is this 3 cost other than Young Rahal going to do for us, right? I mean, turn 1, I see you dropping him with 1 crystal, Oracle, and then 2 for Young Guy, answer the board. Or next turn, we're going to start bringing stuff into play, right? So that's definitely a way to see it. He is definitely going to be, I think there's a lot of potential here. Again, like I just said, water has a lot of crystal generation, but pairing this with, you know, whatever kind of, what do we have? We can just do Glaciellas right off the bat, generate more crystals, keep the water going, keep the pressure going. I don't know, you know, obviously we have, I guess the issue I have is that it's limited to water forwards, but and then obviously it would be too busted. I don't see how this doesn't maybe fit in a Wool 7 list either, right? We can just Rahal, Wool 7 into Rahal, get the crystals, play Xend as we go. We already have all the 3-drop forwards in that deck anyway. So you have your Lena, you have some of those standard unit guys, just a lot of forwards that you're able to, you know, that are already on theme, can just continue to spit out of your deck. I wish it brought backups, but we can't have it all. The Realm is another target. Yeah, very interesting. I think they're very cool. Obviously, we'd like to try them out. Hopefully, they don't fall as flat on their faces as the Fire Wind ones, the Fire Wind 11 characters, the Chabukis. But honestly, I don't think they will. All right, guys, that's gonna wrap up this spoiler video. Join me back in if not next week, then the week after, to talk more spoilers, and maybe I'll have a new one for you as well. So let me know what you thought. What's your favorite thing you've seen so far, and what can we talk about until August? All right, guys, that's it. I hope you liked the video. Leave your thoughts in the bottom, and we'll talk later.